Welcome to day 4 of HairFest 2021. I'm Salome Sallehy, your host and also the founder and president at Sugar Wax. And one of the things that I've been missing a lot during this pandemic has been just a regular day at the salon. Most of us have relied on our stylist expertise to navigate our hair woes. But this last year has really strained some of those relationships. With lockdowns and social distancing, our hair just hasn't gotten the attention that it needs. That's why I'm thrilled to be chatting with one of my favorite hairstylists, Shila Dorrani. Shila started her hair career in fashion and is now one of the most well-rounded hair professionals in natural and non-toxic product space. In this interview, Shila and I discuss how COVID has impacted professional hair care and some things to consider when returning to the salon. Shila also offers up some excellent tips on how to go low maintenance with your hair. Stay tuned for my interview with this lovely human. Hi everyone, and welcome to Natural Beauty Summit's Natural Hair Fest 2021. I'm so excited to be chatting with Shila Dorrani, Editorial hairstylist. Also a friend, so I'm thrilled to be having this conversation with her. I know that it's been such a strange year for salons in the world, and I wanted to take this opportunity to just dig into some of the things that have worked, how the space is changing, and get some insights from Shila, because she has been doing some really, really interesting things that we're going to talk about. So welcome, Shila Dorrani, Editorial hairstylist.
Thank you. Hi. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm a little nervous, but that's, I guess, natural.
I definitely twisted your arm to do this, but
Yes.
It's such a important area for us to touch on during HairFest because, hair salons and stylists are, I think over the course of the last year, we've really, really realized how much we appreciate them and need them in our lives for like hair therapy, for all kinds of therapy, and just having that me time. So I don't think the event would really be complete without having your insights. So glad to have you. I wanted to talk first and foremost about this trend that's sort of been happening over the last few years. And let me preface this by saying I call it a trend because now, if you were to Google natural hair or sustainable or non-toxic salon or something like that, you're probably going to find something in a 5-mile radius on a Google map. So it definitely seems to be taking a life of its own. And this area where hairstylists are moving more towards like botanical, natural, non-toxic products and treatments is not really new to you. You've sort of been trailblazing in this area for a really long time, actually, probably from your start. And I would love for you to share with us, how did the awareness about toxicity, where did that come from? And what are some of the things that you actually do in your services to mitigate the toxic load in your salon setting?
I kind of grew up around, just making sure that I use less chemicals as a child. Even everything that my mom would, bring to the house was very natural. And I think also culturally, it's just part of the culture that I grew up in. And just knowing that, it's important to care about the outer, of your body, not just the inside. A lot of people obviously take care of as far as diet, organic foods and all of that. But I think everything that we put on our skin and our hair goes into your, your
Bloodstream.
body, your bloodstream. And so that's extremely important. And I've done a lot of research in the past trying to find the perfect line and product that would, benefit me as a hairstylist working behind the chair, and also my clients that come on, weekly, monthly base. And also the product that they take home with them, because that's also extremely important. I think working with Dorrani has definitely improved me as a hairstylist. Just being aware of like our ecosystem, and also just being on top of trends, as far as not they're not just a natural beauty or a sustainable beauty. They're also providing style and just completely on top of the trends. So overall, I think Dorrani is, what's changed my way of styling behind the chair, and the knowledge that they give is just amazing.
Yeah. I'm
Yes.
so glad that you touched on the behind the chair, because I think a lot of consumers think about, their exposure when they're in the salons, but it definitely affects the person who's behind the chair even more so. You also touched on uh, the cultural part. Can you talk about, because I know that you grew up in Europe, can you talk about specifically what culture and what were some of the, like, just
Right.
ways of life?
Well, so yes, I grew up in Denmark, but I'm Persian. I think in the Persian culture, again, like eating organic, eating well, staying away from like fried food and all of that it's huge, right? But again, like growing up in Europe, and especially in Scandinavia and Denmark, um, that was just part of our culture, making sure that we recycle, which now has become such a big trend because now people are more aware of like the ecosystem and our planet. But that's always been around. Not driving a vehicle, like every family member doesn't need to have a vehicle. Riding your bike more often, and just, yeah, being aware of all of that has been something that I grew up with when I was 4 years old.
What I love
um
is you are just speaking about it so generally, because it's just the way it always was. Like,
right,
you
that's
don't
all
even
I knew.
know another way. And
No.
being on the beauty side of the business, we develop our products to EU standards. And it's such a world of difference. Like in the EU, there's like 1,400 plus ingredients that are banned, and I think only
Right.
40 in the US.
Right.
So it's so immersed in the way you've done things that it's just, we've always been mindful. And I don't think that, in America, we appreciate that as much.
Right. I mean, I think we're getting there, right? I feel like more and more people, and again, I think might be part of trend, because it looks prettier when you buy something that's organic and it's labeled pretty and it's more, you know, clean and basic. Or it could be that people are actually realizing how important it is. But yes, and just so you know, Dorrani is also a European brand. It's Italian, and so of course that changes a lot too, because again, like you said, they're on top of it. I think as far as you being aware, it's important. I remember my mom has been a hairstylist for gosh, almost 40 years, and just seeing all the people in her career that have unfortunately like passed away from cancer, and or other horrible diseases, due to the fact that there's so much chemicals in the industry, had also opened my eyes, and to make sure that I take care of me, I take care of whoever that's in my space, in my studio, making sure that, we're all safe. Yeah.
I love that the birds are chiming in as well. They have something to say.
My daughters kicked me out of the house because they're doing distance learning and they're like, you're going to be too loud. So you go outside.
And the birds are like, I want
So
to
we're
be a
outside.
part of this Zoom. That's awesome.
Right.
Um, I know that it's been a really hard year for salons and retail with all the lockdowns. And it definitely feels like the whole enclosed public spaces, indoor out public spaces are in a state of flux because I think we as consumers are also rethinking how we go out, how we are in a space.
Right.
So, one of the things that I'm starting to see emerge from COVID is these sort of like hybrid retail experience spaces. And
Right.
this is just another area that you have also just, already been in before COVID. One of the things that I love about your setup is it's like a full experience and it's
Thank
not
you.
just a salon. There's also a boutique component. And, I know we have some other stylists in our audience, and I would love for them to be able to take some inspiration from that. Um,
Right.
can you talk a little bit about like how this combo experience, if you will, I don't even know, we have to coin a term for it.
Right.
How has that helped you throughout COVID? And how do you see that sort of playing a role in the future of salons? Because I definitely do.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was two passions that came in together, my fashion world and then my, beauty world, that I wanted to combine. So that became the setup that I have. And I've had it for 11 years now. It's great, yes, because it's like one stop shop for my clients, as we are doing hair and they're glancing at the boutique, they're noticing styles that they like to pick up. And I think for me, it just makes me a better hairstylist as far as being on top of fashion and bringing that because we all know it comes hand in hand. And it's special. But luckily, yes, you're right. It has been amazing. During the shutdowns, I had to think outside of the box, and I was like, okay, there's no time to cry over this or make myself depressed sitting at home eating ice cream. I said, I need to get out. I have two children that I need to take care of. I have this beautiful business that I've had for so long and I don't want it to fail. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to reach out to all my boutique clients. I'm going to reach out to all my clients and I'm going to set up this, virtual shopping, which helped me so much, not only fashion, but of course, retail as far as hair care as well. So that was definitely my savior. It helped a lot. And I think that probably is the reason why we survived. But people love it. People love being in a space where, again, it's more of a studio. It's not a huge salon where I have a whole bunch of hairstylists working. So that's, I think, another reason why it works so well because it's very private, it's very intimate. And at the same time, it feels very comfortable and homey. And I am all about community and just bringing, all my people in and having this beautiful space where we can feel comfortable, but yet you can also do more than just getting your hair done. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think every time we get our hair done, we're sort of in a way like reinventing ourselves or renewing ourselves. And it
absolutely.
just seems so natural to like pick up like a new look. Like maybe it's a dress, maybe it's a necklace, but something that kind of
Right.
marks that milestone in time to move forward. And like your salon is not huge. You've only got like 3 or 4 chairs or something in there.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
it's kind of almost serendipitous that that has like you kind of went into
Exactly.
COVID with that because, coming in to your salon, like I feel super comfortable because it's kind of like, I more or less have the space to myself and I
Right,
don't
it's always been a safe place, but I think more than anything, what we're going through right now, this um, universal pandemic, it's definitely made people even feel more connected and more safe. Yeah, so I think my idea wasn't something that I thought of for the future for this. I never knew this was going to come, but I think my idea has definitely been a bonus and a, positive thing
absolutely.
during this time. Yeah. But still, like, I still, try to keep it safe. Like when we first opened, I still kept one client at a time. I have air purifiers everywhere, making sure my door is open for ventilation and all of that. So I think, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I want to
been
go
good.
back to something that you said earlier about, your mom, she's the one that was in the business and she
Yes.
sort of brought you in. So you're second generation. And you've been able to like learn so much from her experience as well. You mentioned that she also had like a lot of other colleagues in the business that were affected by the toxin overload and
Right.
they got sick as a result. And I think this is something that's not really talked about a lot. And I'm really glad you touched on it because your mom also had a bout with cancer as well. And thankfully she's doing better, but it also ties into what you're talking about, taking those extra precautions to make it a safe place. That's made you guys even more hyper aware of, keeping the space clean, keeping the air flowing, keeping the air
Right.
quality up, and that's really important. Do you think, like, how do you think that that's going to change your practice going forward? Do you think that you're going to hold on to all of these like practices around like cleanliness and safety, or do you think like as things kind of go back to normal, that'll
Well, I
change?
think, right. I think there's always going to be something better out there, but I'm pretty confident with the line that I have chosen for my salon. And I feel that, as we move forward, they will move forward. And I'm pretty confident that, I'm safe with them. But obviously, I mean, we're always learning, you never know enough. I feel extremely confident with the product line that I have chosen because I know that they will always move forward with everything because they don't just focus on beauty and trends. They focus on the eco, system. They are extremely giving when it comes to, planting trees in different countries. And so I feel that I will always make sure that whatever we choose for the shop, for the salon, it will be the best.
Yeah.
Yes. The
And
safest.
I don't think that when we like when I was thinking about this conversation, I wasn't really thinking about the Davines product line that you're referring to
I'm
right
so,
now,
so passionate with. Yes.
that you're so passionate with. But I'd like to take a moment and pause on that for a second because I think that like brands like that are what are changing the landscape and making,
Yes.
they're so ahead of, like, they're so with the times and ahead of the trends. And in terms of like natural products, what we see today from lines like Doveness is like leaps and bounds from anything like 20 years ago that was deemed natural. And I think as we like start to shift our mindset about, hair care, it's important to recognize that natural hair care isn't what it was like 10 years ago even. It's
Right.
really, really changed, and it's become like, such an anchor line in your business that it's kind of almost guiding how you practice clean hair care.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. You're right. 15 years ago, when you would say natural hair care, it was kind of like, it's not going to work. It's not going to give my hair enough moisture. It's not going to hydrate enough, or even the color lines were
Yeah.
just very basic. There's a lot of henna and just very basic. But yeah, that's definitely changed. The beauty world is honestly like, I think a lot of the lines, that's what their focus is now, is to make sure that they provide safe products, and not only safe products, but products that are active and products that are, just
That work.
that work exactly. So I think our world is going to change. And I think the beauty world is definitely on top of all of that. So,
Yeah. I mean, if there's any industry that moves faster than fashion, it's probably beauty. As things start to open up, I imagine everyone is like, can't wait to get back into a regular salon visits and getting back into that game. But we're sort of going back to salons, if you will, with a bit of a different mindset and more awareness around health and whatnot. Can you make any recommendations for people who are kind of rethinking, like, how do I go back to the salon? Like, how do I mitigate my risk of whatever, whether it's exposure to toxins or exposure to COVID?
right.
What are your thoughts around how people can approach that sort of return to the salons?
I mean, I think if you've been to your salon for a while and you have trust in your stylist, I think that's really it. You need to, just trust your hairstylist. They are, they're making sure that they keep their space safe for you and for themselves. We had to go through a lot to be able to reopen again, follow a lot of guidelines, and also just, making sure that when we open our door, it's going to be a safe place. And honestly, like, cosmetology is on top of it, and I think the health department is on top of it. So there's really no shortcuts. I doubt that, hairstylists want to go through this again. So I think just having trust and trusting your hairstylist, making sure that, you're confident that they will take care of you is
Yeah.
important. Yeah. Yeah. We're all working together, and I think we're all in the same shoe, it's something that we're all going through, and everybody wants the norm back, but
Well,
taking the precautions obviously is, I'm sorry,
uh,
what did you say?
some parts of the norm we definitely want back, especially where like
Totally.
hair care and pampering and all of that is concerned. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen over the course of the last year since the, you know, pandemic hit with respect to hair care or hair culture? Like, is there some of those things that you can comment on? I mean, I know that like it took a long time for us to come back to salons. What are some of the changes and shifts that staying away from salons generated? And when people started to come back, like what are some of the big changes that you've noticed?
It's funny you ask me this, because the changes have been kind of all over the place. You have your client who grew out their color, and they're like, "Oh, I kind of like this, maybe I want to try to go gray, or natural." So it can be kind of transition to, natural. Or you have clients that just want that pop because they're on top of it, like they're on social media and they're constantly like, making sure that they're on top of the trend where, oh, this is the latest trend. This is what I want. And they show you a video or a photo of, you know, this woman with like 10 different colors. Um, but I think majority of my people that come in have all been similar as far as making sure that whatever they get is low maintenance. I think people are still scared. They're worried that, what if you shut down again and I have to come and see you and I can't. So give me something that's low maintenance. And balayage, all the handcrafted coloring is the biggest trend in my salon. And I think a lot of other hairstylists probably experience the same. Just because it's low maintenance, it grows out beautiful, and you don't have to see your hairstylist for 3 to 6 months. And it blends so nicely, and the growth is just beautiful. So that's been, I think, my biggest change. A lot of my highlight clients are transitioning to balayage. So
That makes
yes,
a lot of sense. I think low maintenance, it's sort of like the tip of the iceberg that's pointing down to all of the other factors. Like,
yes,
I don't know, just living in a little bit of unpredictability, as you said, and maybe just sort of doing less. But you talked about trends, and today we are at odds. I want to talk about this trend that like everyone's talking about or was talking about for the longest time, about how Gen Z is not like they're not into the side part, which I'm rocking today. You are obviously a cool mom because you've got the middle part. But I
funny.
really want to know, like, are people coming to you and saying, like,
Absolutely.
what?
Yeah.
Is that just me?
It's so funny. Yeah. Again, social media, TikTok, all these cool teens that are um, that are
But
our
not into
fashion
the skimpy
police
jeans.
now.
Yeah,
But I
like,
think honestly, yes, I do have so many people. I mean, honestly, so many people. I would say 90% of my clients that come in, especially the ones that have teenagers, they'll say, "Okay, no more side. We have to do the middle." And it's whatever you want. I mean, whatever looks beautiful on you and whatever makes you feel beautiful and comfortable. I think middle part is cool, but I think side part like yours is gorgeous.
well,
And
today it just sort of went this way. And the middle
right.
part, I've been trying to do the middle part. It doesn't always work. But I'm just curious what your thoughts are on, like, since the pandemic, do you think that like social media has just become a bigger dictator of like
Absolutely.
culture and
Yes,
trend? Because you've got
absolutely.
like teen girls, teen preteen, like what are the conversations you're having about this stuff? Like, how does it even come to be?
I think, you have more time now. So you're on your phone or on your laptop scrolling down. I think social media is fantastic. You get a lot of information, but it can also be a little tricky, because not everything has to be a certain way. I think being flexible and just also staying kind of, true to yourself. What makes you happy? If you have a calic and you can't do a middle part, like why are you forced to do a middle part? Because others tell you to, especially, I mean, when you're like 40 years old and your 15-year-old is telling you that you have to wear a middle part. I mean, it's great. I love my 13-year-old that tells me, "Mom, that doesn't look so good." But again, like I think just staying true to yourself and do what makes you feel good. If
I
you want
think
to wear a deep part, wear a deep part. But overall, I think your question about social media, I love it because I get a lot of my information and my inspirations um, from either designers that I really respect, stylists that I look up to, and also, bloggers. Some bloggers are amazing. I get all kinds of inspirations. So I think that's just our future, right? Social
Well,
media.
I think with like the COVID lockdowns and just not like in social distancing, maybe the opposite effect of social distancing has been that we've like resorted so much to
People more connected
social
to
media.
people. Yeah, yeah. That's another thing. Exactly.
But I like
You
your
feel like you're
perspective.
part of, I feel like I'm a part of your life, even though we're not seeing each other. Absolutely. Yes.
But I think I like your perspective of like proceeding with caution. It can be a little tricky because you seem like you've got a really good balance of perspective where it's like, yes, I love the social media because so much creativity emerges from it, but also you want to be true to yourself and like you don't have to subscribe to the middle part.
Right.
So, my
Yes.
final question for you, Sheila, is as a hair expert, you obviously see all kinds of problems probably on an ongoing basis, and I'm sure that changes with time and season. But as we go into, summer, and as we think about hopefully what feels like possibly the end of this pandemic, maybe. what
Yes.
what is one piece of advice that you could share with our audience in terms of hair care, whether they're shifting more to natural, or what's one good piece of advice you want to leave them with?
I I think it's funny because a lot of people, they come into the salon and they get this beautiful blowout, they get this beautiful color, and they go home and they think, okay, this is it, right? It's going to stay like this. But what's really important is making sure you take care of your hair, when you're outside of the salon on your everyday base. So using good products, making sure you know, deep condition your hair, once a week at least, especially in the summer, because like just you're out in the sun more and you're, swimming and you're laying on the beach. I think it's really, really important to take away your products and actually using them, at home. I I recommend blow drying your hair once a week, just to lock in all the great products that you're using. I would recommend doing that after a deep conditioning treatment. And this is something I've learned from my mentor, Joseph DiMangio. I've done, gosh, hours of training with him just on blow drying and learning how important it is to seal your cuticles. So that's probably one of the biggest recommendations that I give to all my clients. Even if you don't like a blowout, do it once a week after your deep conditioning treatment and lock in all those great products that you're, purchasing from your hairstylist.
That's amazing. Okay, that's a really great tip because because I feel like the general um, thought is the more you put heat on your hair, the more damage you're going to get. But that is really
Correct.
cool. Thank you for clarifying that.
So blow drying is not damaging if you're blow drying correctly, making sure your blow dryer has a nozzle, making sure that you're holding the blow dryer correctly on your hair strand and, sealing the cuticles. Direct heat as far as curling your hair, which we all love, and flat ironing is more damaging. But again, if you blow dry your hair correctly and then you go in and you hit it with the flat iron or a curling iron, it's much safer than going in on, washed, naturally dried, and then you go in and curl or flat iron. So yeah,
Thank
do your
you.
blow dry.
Thank you. That is going to actually change my entire hair game because for the longest time, I would blow dry all the time. And then I kept hearing that it's bad, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's why my hair is so dry. So now I do exactly what you said not to do. I'll just naturally dry the hair, and then I'll put like the wand or whatever hot
Right.
styling tool in it. So thank you. I'm going to do
Yes,
differently.
absolutely. And you'll notice how much longer your style will last you when you blow dry. And I don't know if you sweat at night, I do. And if I don't blow dry and if I went over my hair and curled it quickly, my hair poofs out the next day. But with a really solid blow dry, blowout, you'll see the difference
Okay, so now I
the
have
next
to
day.
ask, what is the correct way of holding it? Like, is the nozzle supposed to be down shaft, like the heat is going down?
Yes.
That's the thing. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
would demo
You
for
want to
you,
slide
but
down
I don't have one here.
and you have a nozzle, right?
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Yes. Yeah,
Sweet.
you're good to go.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for all of that and that great, fantastic tip. I'm going to start blow drying my hair once a week.
You're
Um,
going to look
and
fabulous.
thank
Thank
you for joining us and sharing all
you
that
for
with
having
me.
me.
Now, guys,
Yeah,
I
this
know
was
you
fun.
probably all want to go to Zahra's salon and see Sheila now, but she's in California, so you're just going to have to find some of that trust with your own hairstylist. But if you are in the East Bay of the Bay Area, I'll be sure to include her links in the email, and you have an awesome Instagram, which I'll also link for you guys as well.
You. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me. This was fun.
Yes, thank you, Sheila. We'll see you on the flip side, guys.